and Dixie Whatley. At the movies.
My life is really complex.
Wing freak terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
We're the beautiful, we're the only Ghostbusters.
Scenes from 3 of the big movies we'll be reviewing today. It seems the whole world has jumped on the Batwagon. The Batman awareness level is greater than any film in Warner Brothers history, according to the studio. Well, there certainly is attention-getting controversy. Does Michael Keaton's Batman betray Bat fans? Is Jack Nicholson's wild Joker too overwhelming for the Caped Crusaders? Does the $40 or $50 million worth of production costs show up on the screen? How will the film's dark and brooding overtones go over with filmgoers? And can any film live up to all the hype? Well, here's Rex to tell you about this eagerly awaited film.
Well, I don't know what you expect from Batman, the multi-million-dollar extravaganza they've made from the 50-year-old comic strip by Bob Kane, but it's not a Superman clone. That much I can tell you. Superman had X-ray eyes, and he came from another planet, and he could fly. Batman, well, he's a virtuous millionaire playboy. He wears glasses, and he has to use hooks and wires to scale those buildings at a single bound. Even his leather bat costume has padded muscles. But Tim Burton, the former Disney animator and the director of Beetlejuice, has turned the adventures of this mortal caped crusader into a stormy, breathtaking roller coaster ride through comic book hell. Now, just forget about that silly 60s TV series with Batman and Robin in their Kmart jerseys. Tim Burton's big screen Batman is no campy cartoon. It's no Saturday matinee serial with dialogue like "Pow" or "Shazam" either. This Batman is serious stuff. The streets of crime-riddled Gotham City are dark, wet, crowded with underworld killers. The sets are like lavish tributes to impressionistic German horror films. Gone are the dum-dums like Wimpy Robin, the idiotic Catwoman, and the moronic Penguin. Instead, we have real stars here. Michael Keaton is the charming Bruce Wayne by day and Batman by night. Gorgeous Kim Basinger is ace photographer Vicky Vale. And most important, the great Jack Nicholson as the most fiendish psycho since Adolf Hitler. The best scenes in Batman pit this arch villain against the hero and his girl with self-effacing black humor, like the museum scene. I love that one. That's where the Joker attacks Vicky and Batman charges to her rescue, bringing his toys with him. The best toy of all is the indestructible Batmobile, a voice-activated car James Bond would kill for. It can crash through anything. It can shield itself from bullets and bombs. It needs no fuel. Has anyone told Lee Iacocca? Are fun, but the real fun is watching Jack Nicholson as the Joker. He hams it up outrageously in his broadest performance since The Shining.
Wing freak terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
We'll be back with more from Batman and Nicholson. Stay tuned.
Lieutenant, is there a 6-foot bat in Gotham City?
Nice outfit.
You look fine.
I didn't ask.
Well, so far we've shown you Michael Keaton as the man himself, Kim Basinger as girlfriend Vicky Vale, and the always awesome Jack Nicholson as the Joker. But here's another of those wonderful toys. This one is called the Bat Wing.
Come to me.
On the ground, he's got his Batmobile. But face to face with the rats and hoods of Gotham City, Batman is also a one-man police squad. Plenty of action in this picture. As a matter of fact, Batman begins with a blast, with Jack Nicholson dropped into a vat of boiling green acid, and it ends with a great showdown in the crumbling bell tower of an old cathedral. A bat in the belfry, get it? In between, you get crashing music, songs by Prince, spectacular sets by Anton Furst, the genius behind Full Metal Jacket and the James Bond movies, dizzying camera angles, and a flamboyant essay in motion and fantasy that's as funny as it is terrifying. Michael Keaton, well, he may not be everybody's idea of the Caped Crusader, but I think he comes off with charisma and vigor. He certainly has never looked better. Luscious Kim Basinger, terrific as the girl who gives up her scoop for love, and Jack Nicholson as the Joker is a one-man show with his face frozen into a white, hideous grin. Green hair, purple suits, orange shirts, and an evil giggle that seems to rise from the corridors of hell itself. He's a singing, prancing Jack the Ripper. The script, well, it's not always psychologically sound, I'm afraid. The lines aren't clearly drawn between the forces of good and evil, and both Batman and the Joker seem to need a good psychiatrist to me. I'd like to also know how Batman ever chose bats to emulate instead of snakes or blue jays. And I could have used a little more sexy chemistry between the two lovers, but still there's enough excitement, artistry, and fun here to make this an original, inspired entertainment. With Law and Order the talk of the day, I think audiences will go to bat for Batman.
Blue Jays? We can answer
Or
that
whatever,
question.
frogs, whatever.
This thing was so wonderful. From the moment it opened, it was like Metropolis meets Blade Runner. These wonderful, gothic, deep, dark,
And a little
scary
bit of
scenery.
Phantom of the Opera.
And a little Phantom of the Opera, and a lot of money. It was like there was so much going on, you could barely see it. I think the plot did get awfully convoluted. I couldn't figure out which bad city official was doing what to whom, really.
Yeah.
But after a while, it just didn't really matter. You sort of quit trying to follow that.
Except you knew with the great Jack Palance coming back.
Oh, he's
he was
so
going to
good.
be bad. He
Jack
was going to be a
Palance
bad
is
guy.
so wonderful. Keaton, he did look absolutely great. I thought he played it beautifully. I liked that he had a psychological side. And a sort of morose side, and he kind of I think he gives people the feeling that they had enough anger and enough money, they could be Batman, which is something that you could never feel with other superheroes. And as for Nicholson, he was the worst looking he'd ever looked, and he deserves an Oscar for this insanity.
But I do really think that you've got to forget about the nostalgia trip. Go to Batman like it's a whole new experience, a whole new vision, really. I think it's remarkable.
Oh, I do too. Definitely have to see it. Coming up next, another big summertime movie, Ghostbusters II.
Sometimes weird things happen. Someone has to deal with it. And who are you going to call? Like sucking the guts, guys, with the Ghostbusters.
It's interesting to note that in the midst of summer sequel mania, Ghostbusters II did not materialize easily. This in spite of the spirited first Buster making almost $250 million, the highest grossing comedy of all time. But after exercising some ill will and a bit of shifting in the driver's seat, Columbia Pictures has the Ghostbusters wagon back on the street 5 years later, both to save New York, again, and to give the studio a much-needed hit. But this time, the talented ghost-grabbing team of Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, and Ernie Hudson are upstaged. The real star is the slime.
You're nothing but an unstable short-chain molecule. You foul, obnoxious mob! Of a weak electrochemical bond. I have seen some disgusting crud in my time, but you take the cake. You're just...
This is what you do with your spare time. Peter, this is an incredible breakthrough. I mean, what a discovery, a psychoreactive substance. Whatever this stuff is, it responds to human emotional states. Mood slime. Oh, baby.
In a contrived plot twist, the slime's primary scene-stealing competition comes from Sigourney Weaver's yuppie larva, as Murray calls the baby. Well, what do you think?
Well, he's ugly. I mean, he's not Elephant Man ugly, but he's not attractive. Was his father ugly?
Don't listen.
And he stinks.
You're right, senor.
Did his father stink? Yeah. Daddy was smelly, huh? What's your name?
His name is Oscar.
Oh, named after a hot dog, you poor man.
Rick Moranis and Annie Potts are back, too, providing some amusing moments of horned-rimmed horniness while babysitting baby Oscar.
Why don't you come over here and sit with me?
Okay. So you want to play Boggle or Super Mario Brothers?
I think motherhood's a very natural instinct. I like a child myself. Would you?
Tonight?
They have more important things to do, like making sure a river of slime doesn't take over Manhattan. Ghostbusters II is not a bust, but it does not slime the first one. The delight in the premise is diluted, of course, because the idea of Ghostbusters isn't a new and innovative one anymore. And I got the feeling that if things were moving just a little too slow, the simple solution was to slime everyone. I admire the effort at social comment by making the slime get violent, viscous, and vicious by feeding on New York nastiness, and I enjoyed the very creative slime-leading sorcerer who can out-nasty any New Yorker on his worst day. There were some charming apparitions. I especially liked the Green Ghost, and the Titanic was wonderful, too. Ghostbusting isn't nearly as satisfying the second time around, but it's still fun, and the kids love the slime. I could pass on the slime.
Yeah, I could pass on this movie, actually. I didn't like it as much as you did. I think that it introduces a lot of ideas that come off like old Saturday Night Live skits. They don't lead to anything. And there's no payoff. I don't like what they've done with Bill Murray. They've made him almost a sap in this picture. What happened to his wonderful old cynicism, you know? He actually
kind of a nice
gooey
guy.
eyes at the baby in this. I didn't much dig it.
Baby,
and I like the idea of introducing the Statue of Liberty to fight off the bad vibes of the slime. But what happens to the Statue of Liberty? According to this movie, it's deserted, too. It's still in Midtown somewhere, waiting to get hauled away.
They must have walked it back at some point. That would just have made the movie much too long.
I think it's a lot of dumb jokes that don't really work. And Peter McNichol as the Slavic museum person, and Rick Moranis steal the movie. Something wrong with the movie where they steal the movie. They're the best people in it, not the
very, very funny. And the bad guy, he was great too. Well, next when Rick Moranis is back again, he's referring to his children as the little ones. And he's not kidding. In Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Something very weird here.
What is it? Oh, swing! You what?
Disney has whipped up one wonderfully satisfying concoction with Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And they've topped off this treat with Tummy Trouble, the maroon cartoon return of Roger Rabbit. He's back with fellow Toon stars Baby Herman and Jessica in the brilliantly animated style of last year's feature film. And this little gem includes many subtle, off-kilter, and clever touches, like a background flash of a fish hanging from a medical scale in a hospital room. Keep close watch, and may Roger and gang lead off every Disney feature from now on, please. That's a tough tune to follow, but Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is every bit as much fun. Rick Moranis stars as inventor Wayne Zelinsky, an absent-minded, myopic genius who builds a shrinking machine in his attic. Now, the machine doesn't shrink. Things it zaps are supposed to, but all the contraption does is blow things into tiny little pieces. When neighbor's baseball breaks the window and knocks the machine into successful action, it then shrinks the two sets of siblings who try to retrieve the said ball to 1/4 of an inch high. And to think that Wayne's wife thought they were missing.
Diane, I got something real important to tell you. That's the couch from the attic. You can see the marks where Quark chewed the arms. I found it on the floor. It's my thinking couch.
Wayne, are you trying to tell me you did it? It worked. The machine worked. Did the kids know?
Well, yeah, the kids know.
That's great.
No, it's not that great.
Why?
I shrunk the kids.
What?
And the Thompson kids, too. They're about this big. They're in the backyard.
What?
Threw them out with the trash. Stay here. I'll get the door.
Did, you report the missing children?
Oh, there must be some mistake. Ours are in the backyard. Right, honey?
Most of the adventure and cartoonishly charming special effects take place in the backyard, where the tiny kids encounter such horrors as sprinklers and lawn mowers and giant ants. They make it to the house only to face possible parental consumption.
I'll tell you, their size. That backyard is like 10 miles. Giant blades of grass, huge insects. It's a jungle out there.
They're going to head right for the house.
Probably right. Gotta keep our eyes on.
I want one of those giant Cheerios. Now, I honestly did not expect to like this film, anticipating some silly sci-fi shrinking story full of lame lines. What a thrill to find a film that very young folks could see and love, and I still laughed out loud, often. Now, the writing is really quite clever. The kids are all well-defined personalities. I especially enjoyed Thomas Brown as little Russell Thompson. He's a heartthrob in the making, real cute, but also a talented actor who mirrors many teenage tribulations very effectively, including being short. But he gets the girl. This film is a family treasure. Enjoy it. And I'll never squash an ant again.
I was really amazed that I liked it as much as I did, too. I had to be dragged to this picture, and I actually had a good time. Basically, what we have here is an excuse for the Disney special effects people to work overtime and produce those wonderful effects like swarms of bees that look like helicopters to the little miniature children.
Many of them were done in Mexico, too. They did a lot of shooting of this in Mexico.
That explains the ant's bad stomach, I suppose. The ant looked like a camel, of course. All of these effects, I think, were done better in that great all-time classic, The Incredible Shrinking Man, plus that wonderful movie with Lily Tomlin, where she was also shrunk, you know.
But the dialogue works so beautifully in this, too, I think.
And I
think, the kids, the way the kids feel
Rick
in it.
Moranis is he just makes me laugh. This man really makes me laugh. It's the kids' picture, though, and frankly, I think there's some things that are disturbing to kids. The sacrificial aunt who befriends them. Kids were a little bit disturbed in the screening that I saw, but I think it's harmless fluff. Take the family. Let's recap the movies we reviewed on today's show. Batman. I thought it was original, inspired entertainment. I think audiences will go to bat for Batman. 3 stars from me. Dixie thinks it was dark, daring, and at times overwhelming, but Nicholson, she says, is brilliant, and Keaton redefines hero. 3.5 stars from her. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Harmless family fluff. That's really just an excuse for the Disney special effects people to go 8. I give it 2.5 stars. Dixie finds it the most innovative backyard adventure of all time. She loved it. She thinks you should take everyone to see it regardless of age. 3.5 stars from her. Ghostbusters II, well, wasn't too ghostly for me. Mostly a bust. Only 2 stars from me. Dixie says it won't slam the original, but it's a good, if goofy time. 2.5 stars from Dixie.
And that slime is going to start selling. I just know it.
Dippity-doo to the rescue.
That's about it for this week. I'm Dixie Whatley.
And I'm Rex Reed. We'll see you at the movies.